Need to get your lowered car off the ground to do some basic service, but you don't have a lift? We're gonna use this BMW E46 M3 today to show you how to do some basic service in even the most difficult conditions. We are here today on the Grassroots Motorsports driveway to do an oil change on this E46 BMW M3. First thing we need to do to get an oil change done on any car is we need to get it off the ground. We're gonna use a set of these 10.8 degree two-piece race ramps right here. They're about 57 inches long, and they have a very, very shallow approach angle, making them ideal for lowered cars. So let's get our BMW M3 up on these ramps and get to changing the oil. Now that we have the car in the air, it's time to get the oil changed, so we need to talk about the pieces and parts we're gonna be using to do this. It's not a tool-intensive job. You're gonna need a ratchet with a short extension and a couple of sockets, a 13mm to get the oil filter off and a 6mm Allen head to get the drain plug out. You need a little pick to get a couple of O-rings out of there cleanly. You're gonna need a prying tool. Even a flat blade screwdriver will work in a pinch to get the cover off that covers the drain plug area. A supplemental light is never a bad idea. You're gonna have to clean a few parts off. For that, we're gonna be using some CRC parts cleaner and degreaser and some disposable rags. We're gonna be replacing our filter with a new Malle filter, which came with all the necessary seals, O-rings, and washers. And we're gonna be using some Redline 10W50 oil. Finally, you'll need something to drain the oil in, and ideally something to protect the ground under the drain container. Remember, you are doing a very environmentally sensitive operation outdoors, so you want to be as careful as possible not to spill a drop. And you're gonna need to protect your hands because we pulled this car up here at operating temperature to ensure full drainage, so you're gonna be having hot oil coming out of there. So some disposable gloves are a great idea, and properly protect your eyes. We will switch this baby out for some proper eye protection, and we are ready to get this oil drained. Drain plug is uses a 6mm Allen head, and please, please, please use a 6mm to do this, not a like a 7/32 or whatever else fits, because this is an aluminum drain plug, and if you round this thing out, it is not going to be easy or pretty to fix it. So we will get this thing out of here. Once you break it loose, you can kind of do the rest by hand. You want to drain the oil completely, and having the engine up to temperature is going to help facilitate that. But you know, the longer you can leave the drain plug out, of course, the more complete drain you're going to get. So let's wriggle back topside. We'll take our drain plug out with us and clean it off and put a new washer on it. And I will see you upstairs. Now, to get to our oil filter, we need to take off this connector right here, simple spring clip, and it pops right off. We'll get that out of the way and tucked over there. And then we've got a oil filter where the cartridge drops in from the top. I'm gonna take some pig mat and make a little barrier around the outside. Just tuck it in there to catch any excess. Filter cap removes with a 13mm wrench. Make sure you retain any washers and O-rings that are in there. Pull this out, and this is where the pig mat comes in handy to be a nice place to lay oily things. All right, our filter's out, cap's off. We've got our old bolt ready to clean up and our old cap ready to be re-O-ringed. Let's head over to the bench, and we will continue things over there before we come back, get everything back together, refill it, and drive away. So here's the pieces we need to refresh here before we put them back on the car. We'll start with the drain plug. Take off the old copper washer. We have a new one that was included with the kit, and we'll take a moment to give this drain plug a quick cleaning with some CRC parts cleaner and degreaser. So there's the drain plug with the new washer. Next, we will pull the O-ring off of our oil cap here. So it may seem like overkill to clean all of this stuff, but especially doing this job outside, we want to do whatever we can to eliminate the possibility of having contaminants in there. And you know, our hands have been on here, we've had old oil in there. The reason we're changing the oil is to make sure that that old oil is free of contaminants. So we want to it just takes an extra 60 seconds to give everything a nice little scrub down and make sure that we didn't miss anything. It also gives you a chance to visually inspect all of these parts to make sure that there's not any scratching or scoring or premature wear that you want to be aware of. So just that little extra moment to look everything over, to make sure everything's clean, it's an extra minute that could save a lot of heartache down the road. So there's really no reason to not do it. Before we put this O-ring back on, any of this rubber stuff, we want to lubricate it with a little bit of our fresh oil. All right, piece of cake, that is ready to go. Next, we will give a little bit of attention to our hold down bolt. Gently get that old O-ring off of there. You don't have to be gentle with the O-ring coming off of there, but you definitely want to be careful not to scratch or score the surface of the bolt. Get our new washer positioned on there, and we will put the O-ring on with a bare hand so as not to get any of the chemicals that have been on our glove. And a little smear of oil on that as well. And all of this is ready to go back together as soon as we get this drain plug back in. Then we can start putting things back together on top of the engine. Being completely by the book today, we're going to torque this down to 18 foot-pounds using our Icon torque wrench here. All right, and we are done under the car. We'll snap the protective cover back on, and I will see you once again topside. So we're about ready to start putting stuff back together topside here. We're going to start by, like with everything else, giving everything a nice wipe down and maybe even soaking up some of the oil from the filter chamber here. So all that's left now is to drop our new Malay filter in, get this thing full of oil and get it started up. We'll start off by dropping our filter in and making sure it sits down in there properly. And I'm going to drop the lid on just temporarily to make sure everything is properly seated and properly fitting. But we're going to lift this right back off, because what we're going to do is we're going to pre-fill some of this chamber here with a little bit of our Redline oil to get the top of the engine a head start on pressurizing once we start the car back up. So we have a nice wet saturated filter. We got an entire quart into the filter housing. Now it is time to drop our filter lid back on there. Our fresh bolt with the new washer and the new O-ring goes on next. And just like our lower plug, this is also going to get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. This engine is rated for 6 quarts. With an oil change, usually you're looking at about 5.5 quarts for an E46 M3. So we're gonna do 4.5 more quarts, check it, see how it looks, check levels, check for leaks, and then readjust from there. We even took some of our pig mat we had wadded up here and made a nice little doily for our oil fill area in case we spilled anything. But now we will commence to fill in this E46 M3 with 10W50 Redline oil that we're using at the recommendation of James Clay from BimmerWorld. Now, BMW recommends a 10W60 for this application, but James likes this Redline 10W50, first off because it has a much higher zinc concentration than most oils, and also it uses a very high quality grade 5 base, which is a higher quality than the recommended oil for this engine already. So the guys at BimmerWorld like it, we are definitely fans. So everything's back together. Let's remember to plug our throttle connector back up there. And we have everything together up here. Cap is on, oil filter cover is on, dipstick is back in place. Time to fire it up and make sure that oil pressure light goes out immediately, and then come over here and check for leaks. Engine's running, the oil pressure light went out immediately, showing we had good oil pressure. Want to just do a quick visual inspection around here, particularly any place things joined together, like the bolt going into the top of the filter housing, the gasket around the filter housing. Don't have any leaks there. Quick visual inspection under the car for leaks, and then it is time to close it up, back it off of the ramp, do one final oil level check, and then we are back on the road. And that is a successful oil change on our E46 BMW M3 in the driveway. Folks, if you are enjoying all the content here on Grassroots Motorsports, please check us out on the web at grassrootsmotorsports.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down there, hit that subscribe button. You will get a first notice of all the new content we put up. We'll see you next time in the garage, or maybe even back here in the driveway. I'm JG Pastor Jack. This is Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. Thank you for watching.
Support brands that support Grassroots Motorsports. Get your chemical solutions from CRC Industries. Visit crcindustries.com to learn more.